I
Yeah.
suppose that there's one place to start. The captain, Virgil van Dijk. I mean, you did sort of an articles. I know you spoke to him a number of times in the mix zone this season, and I know he'd said in the sit down you had with him almost that was the calm bit of even if my contract goes beyond the end of the season, stay calm. I'm not worried. You're not worried, and that was fine. And then two journalists from different countries. So Sam Maguire's article comes out, doesn't it, about the PSG links. Julian Lorenz, the French journalist, comes out and says, no, that's all nonsense. I mean, it was calm 5 minutes ago. What have you made of this whole sort of Van Dijk furore that's happened over the last few days?
Yeah. Well, I know both Sam and Julian. I've spoke to both of them a few times, and both nice chaps. Everyone gets their different info, so I'm not really sure what the truth is on that one, really. Obviously, clubs around Europe would be foolish to not be keeping an eye on Virgil van Dijk, because if you are a big team in Europe, why would you not want to sign him this summer? But I always make the joke that we as reporters speak to Virgil more than we speak to our families, because when we speak to him after every match, very what's the word? Very thingy with his time. Very always wants to speak to us. Always gives us what we want. Model professional, really good leader. But the sense I always get from him is that he just loves everything about working for Liverpool and playing for Liverpool.
Yeah.
So I would be very, very surprised if he's not at Liverpool next summer, next at the start of next season, just because he seems to love it. And I think we asked him like what he did to get over the PSG game, and he told us all about how he went to the theatre, to his kid's school to watch a bit of a
Yeah.
film production, and then he was doing science homework with his daughter. He was in the pool with his son. He was out with his wife, and I just think you've got that lovely family life. You've got a brilliant team that you are the leader of. Why would he want to leave that
Hmm.
behind and go and play somewhere else? And I just think if you take out the footballing element of it and just look at it as a personal thing, I think he's settled in Liverpool. And I think he seems to enjoy his life in England. So I really think that he will sign on. It's just whether the club are willing to pay him what he wants.
Yeah, and that might feel what it's coming down to. What he wants, what the club are prepared to offer, what is the gap at this stage between that. And I know you'll have clocked it in certain articles, and there's maybe a bit of speculation, worry, if you want to call it that, in the fan base that with the restructuring behind the scenes, and we've heard that Julian Ward doing the contracts, Michael Edwards on sales, Richard Hughes, we're doing the incoming speaking to agents and the amendments. Is there anything you think into the element of could there be almost a hard reset in the summer that they're looking at maybe clearing out older players on bigger wages, changing that structure? Or do you think it's just people maybe reading too much into what's going on?
Yeah, there's probably a case to be made that that could be considered, but because we know Fenway Sports Group do have the sort of unofficial policy of not extending contracts over a certain age, and we've seen that with several players in the past. But I just think these two with Virgil and Mo are just different kettles of fish. Like you have to make exceptions sometimes, and I don't. You look at how Virgil's played every single minute in the Premier League this season.
Yeah.
There's no chance that his body is just going to suddenly give up on him. I think normally with aging players, you can start to see signs that they are breaking down a little bit. You look around the league now, like KDB, you could
Yeah.
sort of see last season that his body was packing him up, and now he's barely playing for City. Gary Neville at United in the past, but there's no signs at all with Virgil that he's past his, or even getting anywhere near past his peak. If anything, he's getting better. So I think that FSG may need to just think this is a superhuman athlete and we can make an exception here. The same with Mo. I don't think there's any harm at all in doing a 1+1 contract situation and just saying, you've got till the end of next season now, just kick the can down the road. It's annoying for everyone, but if you want to just trigger a little extension, you can, and then just keep that going until they are past the best. But in Virgil's case, he's the leader. So even say 3 years down the line, he's starting to look a bit leggy. He can still, be that dressing room figure that can help with all of his experience and knowledge of how to win a Premier League. For if a younger lad did come in the future, and he can guide them through it in the training drills and whatever. So I don't see any logic whatsoever in letting them go.
It does just seem crazy, and I know it will be governed by, we know how Liverpool work, the data element, the analysis, the stats, everything that goes into that. Is it almost, I mean, in the most simplistic terms, if Mo Salah's responsible for 51% of Liverpool's goals, Virgil van Dijk probably is responsible for keeping out 51% of goals for Liverpool the other end. So if you were to take those two elements out, the team and where it is and where it can get to surely is weakened massively.
Yeah, I don't want to overreact to any of that, but I do genuinely think if you take them two out, this team is maybe sort of 5th, 6th, 7th in the table level. You look at some of the teams that are in that area of the table, and like Newcastle, for example, there's that sort of level. I just think what we were saying earlier about who's going to score the goals, and I don't know if there is enough goal scorers, or at least people that are going to get into the 20s for the season in the team. And then at the other end, I think Virgil makes everyone look better.
Yeah.
I mean, Konate has been brilliant, but I do think that a decent chunk of that is because he's playing next to Van Dijk. And if all of a sudden it's Konate and Quansah every week, I don't think they'd keep half as many clean sheets as they do. Obviously, they'd still have Alisson behind them, but again, that's one for a year or two down the line. But he's not going to be here forever either. So I don't know. I just think they've got to keep him, whatever the data says.
Yeah, it's not really something, a hard reset that people want to fathom. We'll have to see what happens, but there is not long to sort of get them signed and sorted. And the final thing I want to ask you, because I know you've got the article out today and it drew attention, but the one thing that, and I won't ask you to reveal everything because naturally it is behind the Daily Mail there, but new Busquets, I've got to ask you about that one, because whenever someone mentions a new Busquets emerges, you've got to give us some insight on that one, Lewis.
Yeah, I'll give you this one for free. So I didn't actually write that bit. That was one of my colleagues, Luke Power, who's a very talented young lad who's just joined us on our grad scheme. I basically said to him, do you want to do a bit of a loan watch? So I got him to go and have a look at get him to watch Bajetic's games for Las Palmas, speak to a fan and a local journalist, and that's what he's done. And the local journalist said the style of play reminds him of Busquets. So maybe I've been slightly creative with my baited headline there. But he did mention Busquets. It wasn't made up out of the blue. So I think Bajetic is a really interesting one for the future, because obviously he had that tough first half of the season. But from everyone that we speak to over in Spain, he's doing really, really well. So as I said earlier, Liverpool need an extra body in midfield. They sent Bajetic out on loan to beef up a bit. If he's done that, then there's no reason why he can't be part of the first team group next season. And I think he looked quite promising in pre-season as well, but he just needed regular game time after his long injury. So I wouldn't rule out at all Bajetic being part of the group next season if Slot likes the look of him. I'm sure he'll be given another chance to impress on the pre-season tour this summer.
Yeah, fingers crossed. It does feel like this summer really could be a little bit of make or break for Bajcetic if he is going to carry on at Liverpool. So we'll see what that brings as well. And there we are, ladies and gents. We know the immediate things. Any talk of just a title is complete nonsense. Liverpool are 12 points clear. They're going to win it. There is so much to like about Arne Slot's first season. We know there's question marks about the contracts. There's question marks about the attack. There's question marks about many a thing, but it's shaping up to be a very exciting summer one way or the other. All it leaves me to say as ever for the time, the insight, sharing your thoughts and taking a little break out the sun, Lewis. It is much appreciated.
Thank you, mate. Thanks for having me.
And ladies and gents, that was another Media Matters for Anfield Index.